Charlie and Mike. Charlie and Mike. Talk about it. Tell the truth. God and country in the booth. We stand strong. We hold the line. Won't shut up. Not this time. Hands on heart, eyes up high. We were made to testify. Charlie and Mike. Charlie and Mike. Charlie and Mike.
Seems to me StreamYard's having an issue with my theme song. I think I need to do something about that. I don't know what the deal is. As soon as I started playing the theme song, like the Microsoft week time to restart your computer popped up all over my screen. I hit and okay, no, it's not StreamYard. We have an echo. That's weird. Hold on one second. I don't know if you can hear that or not. The comment section. Are you commenting in the comment section? Let me check something. Technical difficulties. Let me know in the comment section because it's not right. It's not right. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it stopped. I don't know. No, it is something not right. I didn't hear an echo. Okay. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. We're gonna try the theme music again, and I'll be right back.
Charlie and Mike. Charlie and Mike. Talk about it. Tell the truth. God and country in the booth. We stand strong. We hold the line. Won't shut up. Not this time. Hands on heart, eyes up high. We were made to testify. Charlie and Mike. Charlie and Mike. God and country, we stand right. Truth on fire, we won't hide. USA, USA, side by side.
Hello, can you hear me now? It was doubled. It was playing in the background twice. So I had to kill one of them. That's what you couldn't hear it, but I could hear it, and it was driving me nuts. Anyways, this is Mike coming to you live with Charlie and Mike. And Charlie's not here. He's on assignment. Isn't that how they do it? The professionals, the radio stations. Charlie's on assignment today. Actually, he's been called up by the California National Guard, and he has to go dress like a tree and play G.I. Joe in the woods. Better him than me. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so I got a special guest for us today, a guest host, and it's my good friend. It's my good friend Jeff Lockington, Pastor Jeff. That's like totally awesome. And some of you may have seen him before. He's interviewed on Charlie's show. And I just want to introduce you to Jeff. And Jeff, tell us about yourself.
Amen. Thanks, Mike. Well, I'm a pastor here in Sedalia, Missouri. Moved to Sedalia about 5 years ago. Me and my wife come from a dark past, and God radically just changed our lives. We surrendered to him, and he just did something we never thought possible. We knew we had seen him move in ways, but he showed his faithfulness to us, called us. We answered the call, and we've been on this ride and been sitting in awe ever since. So it's been a great ride. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I've been a witness to it from a distance. So yeah, I mean, the growth, the change, so exciting. And see what God's doing with you and your church and everything else is it's just awesome to sit back and watch it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, what God has done is absolutely incredible. And when you feel like, when you come from addiction and you come from a dark past and you feel like you've lost purpose and you've been in a place of darkness where nobody was there, nobody's answering the phone call, nobody's calling, there's nothing, just you're in a room behind a room behind a room in the closet of a room. And when he pulls you out of there, he starts putting the pieces back together. It's absolutely just a state of awe is what me and my wife call it. Since then, my wife has just found purpose. My wife being able to co-pastor, well, somewhat. She's like a youth pastor in our church. And she's just the youth program exploding, giving both of us purpose, our marriage, great. And I'll tell you something I learned through this whole process. Marriage, you want to be married to someone not only you can celebrate life with, but somebody you can suffer through life with. And me and my wife suffering together, making it out of that. We've got a strong bond together, much like the military, Mike. When you go through the hard things together and brotherhood, you bond. And so my wife and I, as we went through these events together that were very difficult and suffered together, it made us so much stronger. And every day's a gift.
Absolutely. And your wife is a little firecracker. She was telling me some of their testimony, how they met and stuff today. And she's just, boy, you get her wound up. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Love the Lord.
So it's a good time. Good to have you here. So we always do this. So what's your story today? What is it you want to talk about? We'll let you start off. And
hey, you got the video?
The video, yes, the one you sent me.
Yeah. So let's start out with that.
Okay, let's put that on the screen here. All right, I'll get it here. We'll play. I gotta go like this to do it right.
Most of you don't know what replacement theology is, but I want some of the pastors to listen to this because you're still preaching it. Replacement theology is that God has replaced the Jewish people with the church. And as long as there was no organized Jewish people, people accepted that. But now Israel is reborn. And if Israel is reborn, then God is not through with Israel. And the writings of St. Paul in Romans 9, 10, and 11 are very much in play. The church did not replace Israel. God breathed breath into that valley of dry bones as Ezekiel's vision saw them rise from the dead and live to become a vibrant nation. Israel lives. Israel lives. Give the Lord praise in the house. The state of Israel. Most of you don't know what replacement theology is, but I want some of the pastors to listen to this because most of you,
right? That was it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So really, you have to ask yourself a couple things. What is replacement theology? And replacement theology is that the church has now replaced Israel, that basically God has canceled his physical promise to Israel and transferred them into the church, when Israel itself was always a physical promise and the church becoming a spiritual promise. And you have to ask yourself, why is it so prevalent today? Well, there's a ton of anti-Semitic, anti-Israel narratives that are just completely pushing agendas upon the population. And the thing is, it's trending. That's the thing. It's trending with the youth. It's trending on TikTok. I see anti-Semitism raising up. It's rising more than it ever has been. And it's in our youth. And that's the thing. And we have to ask ourselves, why must we stand against it? Well, if you support replacement theology, you're basically saying, in a sense, that God doesn't fulfill his promises to people. And if you're saying that God has voided his promise to Israel, you have to ask yourself a question. Well, how can we trust any promise that he's made to us?
Wow, that's a good point.
And so a lot of times people like to say, we are the new Israel. Well, once again, if God's word is true, so there always has to be that physical promise. And we have to remember that we are grafted in to that promise. So, I find it, I've been noticing it more being a part of Liberty Life when we really support Israel. We follow the feast, which are Hebraic roots. And I think people forget that we are Judeo-Christians, that Christianity comes from Judaism, that you can't have one without you can't have Christianity without Judaism.
Well, all the first Christians were Jews.
Well, it makes sense.
I mean, they were all Jews. At Pentecost, when 3,000 were added that day, they were all believing, practicing Jews who were in Jerusalem for well, how do you say it? Because it was Pentecost, but it was
Shavuot.
Was that
the Shavuot, the feast?
Yes,
yeah.
that's where Moses brought the 10 commandments.
Yeah, Shavuot. See, and Pentecost was celebrated long before then. It didn't start that day.
And that's why they were there.
Yeah.
For that. They were devout Jews who said, are these guys drunk or what? And so that's, all of Acts, until Paul started wandering around, all of Acts, the beginning first several chapters anyways, is all Jews.
Come on.
And until Cornelius and the Ethiopian, they were all Jews.
Yep. this didn't really even become a thing until the Council of Nicaea in like 325 AD. They wanted to start separating, the Romans wanted to start separating themselves through Catholicism, wanted to start separating themselves away from the Jews that were Orthodox, but away from any of the customs, anything that to do with Israel. And that's how a lot of this stuff started up with Council of Nicaea. I mean, it was no good. You got to think about the scripture, and people are still preaching this today. I mean, big names, Mike. These people have 800,000 followers, and they're preaching all over the internet. I mean, you got pastors out there, churches, and it just goes completely against the scripture.
Yeah. Well, they'll give you a scripture. They'll give you a scripture, but they won't give you all the scripture. They'll give you the portion of like their favorite one that I get from people that don't read the Bible is Synagogue of Satan.
Yeah.
I always ask, what does that mean? And who are they talking to? Well, it's in there. I know it's in the Bible. Where in the Bible? Who's the author? Who are they speaking to?
Yeah.
Those are questions you have to ask yourself when studying the Bible.
Synagogue was a synagogue dedicated to Zeus.
That may be so. It was okay. All the churches spoken of in Revelation were in Turkey today. They're all in that little area in Turkey today. Okay. And there was a synagogue, and I don't know if they were part of what they had messed up, but there was a synagogue there maybe a couple of them, that were Greeks converted to Judaism, and they were persecuting the Christians because they weren't being Jews, because they weren't doing it right. So these were Greek Christians and Greek Jews, not Israelites. So when the angel said, or actually it was Jesus, the author was John, but Jesus was talking, said, the synagogue of Satan who is persecuting you, they're talking about a specific church and a specific synagogue, that this was a true event that was happening. And could it be a spiritual connection to today? Could it be a prophetic word too? Absolutely. But you got to understand the context of what you're reading. So,
amen.
And it's not the Jews themselves. There weren't no Jews involved in that, because these were all Greeks.
Yeah, I think it says here in, where is it? In Genesis. Romans 11:1, that it says God will never cast away his people. It
says it all over the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, so I want to know is, how can people even? It's all anti-Semitism. It's that spirit of Haman. I'm telling you.
The spirit of Haman. You mentioned that earlier today when we were talking. That I have to ponder that one. The spirit of Haman. Why is that important? As I mentioned to you, the prophetic word that got me started in all of this was back in 2015, hearing several different preachers at the same time, in the same time frame, I should say, saying that Donald Trump was to be a trumpet, to trumpet the evil that's in this government. And no one can deny that part of the prophecy has been fulfilled. We know things about this government since Donald Trump came down the escalator that we never wanted to know.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we know so much. There's Brokeback Mountain happening in the office chambers. I mean, we don't want, there's so much going on. So, but the second part, or the second and the third part of that is in the vein of Cyrus. Cyrus was a Persian king who restored Israel. And if you think about that, what's going on right now? We got Israel, we got Iran, which is Persia. All that's happening right now. And then the third part is for such a time as this, which is Esther. Haman was the bad guy in Esther. Haman wanted to kill all the Jews. Haman was a descendant of the king that Saul didn't kill when God told Saul through Samuel to go conquer those people and kill every man, woman, and child and every living animal. And he didn't. He disobeyed. So Haman's a descendant of that, which is kind of crazy if you think about all that together. So anyways, more thoughts?
Well, yeah. Well, I was thinking about how, Haman, the spirit of Haman seeks to influence high places, that it wants to be in a powerful place, and it's fueled with pride. And the way that, I see the left, pushing this agenda heavily. I see that, they're trying to push Americans not to support Israel. I don't understand how they can flip this script where they're trying to push, Israel as the bad guys, as their murderers. But, Mike, this is what, as well as I do, we're in the military, man. I'll tell you the comparison between how many people Israel's killed versus what America's done.
Yeah,
dude, it's incomparable. So you can't be calling people murderers that have killed less than a couple 100,000 people in total ever. And we've got like 45 million probably or more. Something ridiculous.
Well, yes. So here's a post. Hold on. Let me pull that off the background there so it's not making no noise while I'm scrolling through it. Here's a post. You say that, how many people have died in the world from what? And I had this on my show, and as you were talking about that, I brought it come to my mind. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. I added some more stuff, so it's making it a little bit longer than I thought to find it. But there was a post. That let's see if I can find it here. Doggone it. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is right there. Right here. Here's the post. Let me add it to it. And there we go. Here we go. It says, the two most deadliest forces in human history are communism and Islam, and Democrats embrace both. You see, they want to say that it's Israel. Like I was talking with this guy, I actually kicked him off my show a couple days ago, but I had a long conversation and chat with him, and it was a human, normal conversation that two people discussing things, both of us kind of understanding each other's point of view, a normal conversation. I don't have a problem with a debate. I have a problem with people that go, it's the Jews, because it's weak. It's weak-minded. It's weak-minded. If your answer is, why did the Blue Horizon rocket blow up? It's the Jews. If your answer is, why are so many people coming across the border? It's the Jews. If your answer is, why is there inflation? It's the Jews. You it's a cop out. You're not putting any intellectual thought into anything. You choose not to think. That's the answer. Because although there may be some Jews that do bad things.
Yeah.
But there's some Christians that do bad things too, so-called.
Yes.
So, let me give you an example. I got an example here going down here. So this is Hamas. If
والله لو أخرجنا اليهود
you read down here.
لو أخرجناهم من فلسطين وأخرجناهم من بيت المقدس دون أن يسلموا ولو ذهبوا آخر العالم سنلاحقهم وسندعوهم إلى الإسلام وندعو بوجه الإسلام وندعو جميع النصارى للإسلام. نعم ديننا دين الرحمة.
نعم، أنا أوصي أولا يعني الإخوة المجاهدين في سرايا القدس أن يستمروا في عملهم المقاوم.
نحن لا نحب الحياة، نحن طلقنا الدنيا بالثلاثة، نحن الذين عمروا آخرتهم. والله لو أخرجنا اليهود من فلسطين.
Start over. Let me get off here. All right. So if you see what they were saying, they're going to kill all the Jews and then get all the Christians.
Yeah.
And we're the bad guys. The Jews are the bad guys, and the Christian nationalists are the bad guys. Not those guys. Those guys, they're just peaceful, loving people.
Yeah, and that's how they want it. That's how they make it look when they don't have power. See, when they're trying to gain stuff, they'll make themselves look peaceful, but they want to work through influence to gain power. And then once they gain power, then it becomes law, and then it's like either you're going to convert or you're going to die. And I see that happening in some states. Even you're starting to see, they're trying to create these anti-Israel narratives, and then it's trying to call you a Islamophobe if you have push against it or push anything against it. And it's trying to even happen in our own government. And this government was based on Christian values, and it has to remain that way.
Yes, definitely. And so a friend of mine, Aaron, is a friend of the show. He's a Orthodox Jew, lives in Canada. He's also uses my platform to do his show. Inspector Cates, he calls himself, and he does political stuff, Canadian political stuff. And so he was he sent me a message on Sunday. I was sitting in church, and was it Sunday or was it? Anyway, sometime this weekend. And it wouldn't have been Saturday because he fully practices everything Jewish. So he was probably at the synagogue on Saturday. And anyways, he sent me a message and said, does Islam practice loving their brother? And I was like, no, absolutely not. That's a Judeo-Christian philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Love thy neighbor, right? Islam believes in convert or die.
Yeah.
That's the difference between Islam and you see, they're these people that are saying this replacement theology are accepting now of Islam.
Yeah.
If you listen to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and all those people, they're accepting Islam and Islamic principles, and rejecting Christians and Jews. Now think about that for a minute.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible to me how you see it's only the Christian faith or the anti-Semitism rising up, that they're the target of everything. But if anybody was to say anything about Islam or Muslims, they would be completely canceled. They would be off the air. They wouldn't be nowhere. But you can attack Christians and Jews all day, and it's not a problem.
Yes, absolutely. Speaking of that, did you see what happened in Great Britain?
No.
Hey, you haven't? Yeah, no. He's been too busy being a pastor. That's what the problem is. Taking care of his little family and being a pastor and all the things that are going on. Doing great ministry. This weekend was full of ministry. I was with you at the park, where we were all day at the park, just ministering to people and playing music and everything. And then I did Cross Connect that night, and then church. And you do church. You had 2 services on Sunday, right? You do a morning and an evening service.
We not every Sunday, but yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
We try to get an evening worship service in there. I think it's coming back. We've been kind of off, but yes.
Okay. So you had a full weekend, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So, but you don't probably follow this stuff like I do, because this is what I do for a living. But this is a story that I've had on my back burner, and I haven't talked about it on my show that much. So this will be new to my audience too. But over in Great Britain, there was a young man, I think he was 17, 18 years old, that was stabbed to death by a Muslim. And when the police came up, the Muslim said that the kid called him a bad name, so they arrested the kid. And he bled to death and died while they were arresting him. Here is the body cam video that just came out. Great Britain right now they're rioting in Great Britain right now over this. The British people are.
Where is it you think you've been stabbed? In the face? Oh no, but we have to check, don't we? In the face?
You see he's in handcuffs.
Yeah.
And that's just, I didn't want to, there's a longer video. I just want to play all that. I just wanted to give you an idea. So this is what the British Prime Minister is saying.
Was a kind, thoughtful, and much loved young man. And this has understandably been devastating for his parents, for his family, and everybody who knew him. And I have seen the body cam footage. It's harrowing. And I have to say, as a father of a 17-year-old boy, I felt sick watching it. It is absolutely right that the IOPC are looking at this. There are clearly serious questions that need to be addressed, not least how accusations of racism inform the decision-making in this case. But my thoughts, I'm sure the thoughts of everybody in the country, are with Henry's family. His life has been stolen, and they are understandably devastated. And that is where I start on this.
Okay, that's pretty reasonable of the Prime Minister, right? This happened almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's just now saying something. This kid was stabbed to death, stabbed multiple times by a Muslim, and there's video of the stabbing, which I'm not going to play. And because the Muslim said he caused a hate crime on me, they arrested the kid and let the Muslim go.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And I'll tell you what, I believe, and this is just my opinion, I think the left wants a more Islamic America. You know, the modern left is just increasingly willing to constantly defend and excuse any type of anti-Semitic rhetoric, and they're pushing. I'm telling you, you got to be concerned about being called an Islamophobe if you just say that you're a Christian believer, you're a Christian follower,
Yep.
You're following Christ.
I'm called to be. I remember when we were confronted, my wife and I was confronted about something in Sedalia by my pastor. And I thought about it for a long time, and it grieved me. And I asked God, I have a habit of asking God, so what do you think about this? And really, it was a couple days. And he gave me Ezekiel 12:4 or Ezekiel 4:12. I don't remember which, but it's where God told Ezekiel to lay on his side and cook his food on poop in the square before the temple for like a year, like 300 and some odd days, and then lay on his other side It was for like 40 days. You know that story? You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it was representing the time of the sin of Israel and the time of sin of Judah. And he said to me, he gave me that scripture, and he said to me, I've called you to be absurd in the public square. That's what I'm called to do. So I went and said, John, no, I'm not apologizing for what was said. I'm not changing my behavior. God's called me to this particular thing. That's what I'm called to do. So as a pastor, you're not called to do that.
Yeah.
But I am called to say, these are like, for example, when I talk about the Palestinians, which there's no such thing, living in the Gaza Strip, who are actually Jordanians who were kicked out of Jordan and went to the Christian nation because of loving thy neighbor of Lebanon, and then overthrew the government of Lebanon and turned them into a radical Islamic state. And then they kicked them out because they didn't want them to overthrow them again. And they wound up in Gaza. That's how they got there. And let's see, Facebook just kicked me off. Yeah. On my Patriot Mike Show account, they just kicked me off. That's funny. Oh, well, it is what it is. So I called them the Gazanians.
Well, point proven.
As that deal pop up on the screen says that I lost that. So I call them the Gazanians. Why do I call them the Gazanians? Because they're not Palestinians, they're Jordanians, happen to be living there. So they're Gazanians. And I say that to be absurd. And it gets people riled up. That's part of the point. So
here's
go
what
ahead.
here's what concerns me with, speaking of Palestine and Israel and, just really how progressive liberalism, a lot of times in college campuses, you find these people that are protesting against Israel. They're supporting Palestine. A lot of times it's like LGBTQ community. It's a lot of women. It's all these people that if they would go to Palestine, they would be hung or murdered for the way that they live life.
Yeah.
It's not like they would be accepted in their community. And then you would ask them, some of them will, ignorantly say, no, I just want to live. I want to live there, but you go there, you would die. It's not like you'd be.
Yeah. The gays for Palestine out there protesting in New York City and stuff.
Yeah.
It is Pride Month, by the way. Pride goeth before fall. Original sin, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But Babylon Bee, I talked about this on my show today. I don't know if you follow the Babylon Bee or not. They bring tomorrow's news today in the form of satire. And here's what the Babylon Bee had to say about exactly what you're talking about. Breaking news. It says Hamas announces Pride Month kickoff party on roof of very tall hotel. It says Gaza. Hamas leadership proudly announced Wednesday that their Pride Month festivities would soon start with a wild party where anything goes. The location, the roof of a very tall hotel where they can do the best kickoff. We are honored to start Pride Month with a kickoff of many, many homosexuals, said elusive Hamas leader Yava Sinwar. We will have the biggest kickoff from the roof as humanly possible. We invite all queers for Palestine to come join us in being kicked off. According to the IDF intelligence, the extremely tall hotel will be decked out with pride flags, rainbow-colored streamers, and magnificent LED light show in an effort to attract as many homosexuals as possible. An invitation has been extended to Sir Elton John to MC the event, though sources indicate he is unlikely to accept. Like moths to a flame, Sinwar said with pride as he put his finishing touches on a banner that reads, "Gay stuff on roof."
Yeah.
The local gay community is reportedly cautiously optimistic ahead of the festivities. I really don't want to get kicked off the roof again, said a local gay man, Hazma Hami Hamas. But I kind of interested in how they decorated this year. Hamas leadership has advised all normal people to stretch their legs ahead of the party so no one strains their quadriceps. A publishing time, the UN nominated Hamas's leadership for a Nobel Peace Prize for their ongoing efforts to incorporate LBGTQRSTV WXYZ plus minus multiplication X long division exclamation point question mark community in their activities. I add that because I don't want to miss anybody. I want to make sure I get them all covered, you know. So
It never ends.
you know, so the theme song is "I Believe I Can Fly," but that's
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't get the joke, it says in the Quran to take a homosexual up to the highest point and throw him off, and if he survives, stone him.
There you go. And but here in America, they've been brainwashed to hate Jews so much that they would love the people who would kill them instead of care for them.
Well, you know, it is a mental illness for sure.
Yeah.
100%. So also Babylon B headline, not the whole story, just the headline here. Trump shocked to learn genocidal jihadists often don't negotiate in good faith.
Yeah.
Shocked, I tell you, shocked. Anyways, so Pride Month. That's started. We have Pride Month happening. So your church celebrating?
No.
No.
We just got done celebrating Shavuot. And we'll be celebrating the next feast, but we don't celebrate pagan holidays,
especially the Pride Month.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even sure you can call that a pagan holiday, but it is.
No, the pagan goddess holiday, Ishtar.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I get your point. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the Pride stuff is, my biggest thing about it is number one, pride.
Yeah.
And all these people running around doing all the disgusting things that they do in the name of pride.
Yeah.
And oh, I know. I was looking for one. I couldn't remember what it was. I wanted you to see it.
You know why it's in June?
Why is it in June?
Because of the Stonewall uprising in New York City in 1969 on June 28th. There was a several-day protest. That's actually in Jonathan Cahn's Return of the Gods.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard it.
This was, Ishtar, the goddess Ishtar is a goddess of parades. She's the goddess that demasculates men and defeminizes.
I knew that part.
Her priests were the first drag queens, and they were the first people to dismember themselves, and transvestites. They would have surgeries back then. The thing about this that I find really incredible, and this comes from Return of the Gods. My wife and I read it together a little bit ago, I think about 6-7 months ago. Anyways, that Jesus, when he came and all these gods, he got rid of all these gods. People stopped, worshiping Baal, Moloch, and Ishtar. But since America kicking God out of this country, it's giving rain back to these gods. And then that's why Ishtar is become more prevalent. I mean, Moloch, we could just keep going. But yeah, June is because of the Stonewall uprising.
Okay, I'm gonna play this one video. And if you find something you want to add, you can add it the same way you did that one when we were talking before.
Yep.
We'll play this one video. This is something I talked about on my show. This is Mayor Bowser of D.C., of Washington, D.C., celebrating gay pride in D.C. She's got all the transients behind her. And that's another way. It's kind of like Gazanians, the transients. It covers them all. And
yeah, never mind.
So here she is. Listen to what she says. And it's the last thing she says. I agree with it. Here we go.
51 years of pride in the future 51st state. And both movements are rooted in the same belief. Every person deserves to be seen, heard, and fully represented. We're celebrating Pride Month in the gayest city in the world.
In the gayest city of the world, talking about Washington, D.C. And after finding out what Madison Cawthorn and some others have said about what goes on in D.C. after hours in the Capitol, it may be true. It just may be true. Anyways.
It's all political. They're literally just trying to get a base to vote for them. That's the only reason they're doing.
Well, and the thing is, it's not even like 1% of the country.
Yeah.
They promote the crap out of it, and they're loud and proud. But it's a very small population. It's utterly ridiculous that they do all that.
They make it seem like it's bigger than it is. How? Through social media, through TV, through movies,
indoctrination.
Yep, they had this plan to go in through media, through entertainment, and that's like why you can't turn anything on and not see something gay, because it's like a part of Hollywood now. They're gonna make it. It's like you'll find more gay stuff, but comparably, statistically, it's not like that in America. But you'll see it overcompensated for in movies, TV shows to try to normalize it, and then you just confuse things. It's really just unfortunately a lack of identity. But this is what happens when you take God out of school. This is what happens when you take God out of education.
God out of everywhere. God out of town square. God out of the church. Oh, did I say that? Sorry.
Well, God out of politics. I mean, this is one thing that, as here in Sedalia, and especially as we were moving in through Revival Sedalia, one thing that we wanted to do was start educating our body on how to vote. The church used to have a voice in politics.
Yes.
And it used to have to come through the church. And I'll tell you something, Mike, we're not taking credit for what happened. I'm just saying this year we held a candidate forum. We educated our body. We normally have about 13 to 15% outcome. I think we had almost a 20% voter outcome. And, for the most part, the people that we wanted to get in got in.
Yeah, there was a massive push. There was some really, I don't know, I don't want to say corrupt, but there was some stuff going on in the city of Sedalia.
Yeah.
And massive push from some vocal people, and they got candidates on the ballot, and out of the 3 candidates, 2 of them won, which is important on city council, because if you just have one, if my friend Matthew's watching, he knows because he was on school board, just one guy, and you can make all the noise you want to make. It makes no difference. But if you have 2, you have a motion and a second. Now you have to talk about it. May not pass, but you have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And of course, we got a new mayor. They elected a new mayor who seems like a pretty good guy.
Incredible.
And so hopefully that's going to turn some things around, or at least get some questions asked that haven't been asked. So they still don't have a majority on the board, but it should be interesting to see what comes out of this in the next months, years, whatever. So yeah, that and you could do that in your community too. It's just a matter of the people who finally got vocal and loud enough and rose up and did something about it. So yeah, that's pretty wild. So let me tell you something else. So we're talking about the pride stuff, and I don't remember what you said to trigger it, but it reminded me of something. So a lot of the prophetic word that's been out there from multiple voices over the last several years is that we're going through, there's a lot about the Red Sea moment. There's a lot about, I don't remember what the Mount Carmel moment, but one of the ones that was very prevalent was a Gideon moment. And most of the prophets, when they talked about the Gideon moment, talk about when Gideon rose, sword for the Lord, a sword for Gideon. And the Midianites rose up and started slaughtering themselves and then fled. And then when they chased them down and killed them all, blah, blah, blah. Good guys win. God wins, right?
Amen. I like that.
Right. But that's the Cliff Note version of the story. But Gideon, God showed me one day when I was reading that. He said, that's not what's going on. He says, yes, the battle will be won. Yes, I will do it. However, the Gideon moment that made it all possible was when Gideon went down and destroyed the Asherah pole and the altar to Baal. What you said, you were talking. That's what reminds me. It reminds me now. You was talking about the return of the gods and talking about how America has slid into occultism by worshiping these false gods.
Yeah.
You know, abortion is a sacrifice, is a sacrament. They admit it. The Satanic Temple of Texas sued when they banned abortion in Texas.
Wow.
Because it was it was their religious right to have abortions. And so this is their worship, right?
Yeah.
So what God was saying is, no, the church, the remnant church, will rise up and destroy the altars,
yeah,
of the gods. That's what's coming. That's the Gideon moment. When we do that, and I think it's already being done, by the way. I think it's already happening. Certain places, certain things. You see people praying. You see movements happening. He says, when you do that, then that changes the spiritual atmosphere that allows the fear to come into your enemies, where they will destroy themselves. So there you go.
They've done a very good job of convincing, everyone that it's not spiritual, that it's not demons. It's just your body, your choice. Think about that statement. It's your body.
Well, what was the worship of? What was the reason people sacrificed babies to Baal?
To Moloch?
To Moloch, Baal, same God, different time frames and culture.
I mean, they did it for a multitude of reasons, and was there just one specific reason?
No, it was the God. It's the God of convenience and money.
Oh yeah, materialism, Baal. Yeah, materialism.
They sacrificed. They called it walking through the fire. They sacrificed their babies to this God in the name of. See what was happening was they would go to the Asherah pole, which was a god of fertility.
Yeah,
and they had all kinds of going-ons there, and that babies would be made, and then they would sacrifice the babies for material wealth and convenience.
Yeah.
Why? What you just said, my body, my choice. And what do they say? You go on the college campus and you ask, well, I can't have a baby right now. It will interrupt with my courses. I can't have a baby right now. I can't afford it. I can't have a baby right now. It'll cramp my lifestyle. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the very same thing.
Really what the enemy's doing with all of that, with homosexuality, with abortion, he's destroying generations of bloodlines.
Yes.
That's what he's doing. I mean, you talk about two gay men or two gay women get together. Literally, there goes generations of bloodlines that can never serve the Lord. That's how he's trying to take it out.
Yeah, no reproduction.
Yeah.
And I talk about the vice versa of that. I talk about all the time. Why are they doing a transient story hour? Why do they want to do gay education in the schools? Why do they want to do all this? Because they can't reproduce; they can only recruit.
Yeah.
The man, woman, no compute. There's no fruit there. It doesn't work. So they can only recruit your kids. Think about that one. Let me tell you. So I've talked about this before on my show, so some people have heard it, but you haven't heard it. So my wife worked with a younger lady, who is a lesbian, and she's married to a man who's gay, and they just had a baby.
So, yeah, they're confused.
And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, she's the man and he's the girl.
Yeah, there you go.
There's some. I mean, I'm my own grandpa. Anyways, that really just messes you up. You think about that. That's just what are you? What
are you saying? Yeah.
You know what that is? Yeah, this new math that they do at school, where you got to draw all the boxes and you got to go through this big long. Round dicky do all the way around twice, 3 times over to come up with the same thing if you just carried the one. And
yeah.
Yeah, that's what that is. It's just overcomplicating the situation here. And so overcomplicating a way to make sure God doesn't bless your marriage.
I was reading a little bit here about the children, and I saw something about, Moloch, how God loves children. God loves children.
Absolutely.
And children are a gift from God, but yet Moloch and the enemy wants people to sacrifice them for power and fertility and financial blessing and security. That's what
I'm saying. That's what that was. They
for convenience. Yeah.
When they say I had an abortion because it cramped my style, I had an abortion because I wasn't ready yet, I had an abortion because I couldn't finish school, I had an abortion. It is the God of convenience. It is the God of, they're destroying their own offspring for wealth and convenience.
Yeah.
And you think about it,
what God gave you so you can get what you want.
And if in today's modern world, the way we think, if somebody said, okay, go sacrifice your baby on the altar over there, we'll heat up the fire in the bronze altar, and your hands glowing red, go place your baby, they would be repulsed by that. I'm not doing that to some weird God thing. I'm not religious.
Yeah.
But you say, we'll go over here and make it clinical. It's just a procedure. It's just a lump of tissue.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
And then when those guys, when they were here in Sedalia, remember when the guys were, what are they doing? They signed the little, what do they call that? When they sign the documents, you got to get all so many.
Yes, when they were gathering the signatures to get it on the ballot, the abortion deal. Yeah.
What'd they say it was? What they did? They came up with a really nice saying for reproductive health care.
Oh yes.
That sounds really good. Like reproductive health care. Like you're talking about reproducing, but no, it's not reproducing. Destroying reproduction.
Right. It's reproductive health care because it's care. They're trying to get the care part in there. There's no care. There's no care, and it has nothing to do with reproduction. It's unreproduction care.
Yeah.
Now here you go. Since we're on the subject, since you brought that subject up, this is a bunch of Democrat politicians, and they have a new grievance, and they're trying to get America and the government to recognize this terrible scourge on women and do something about it. Okay. Listen, this is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind. Listen to what they're saying.
Today we are here to talk about women's pain and how long it's been overlooked. In the summer of 2015, while starting my career in New York City, I woke up on the floor of my local bodega, drenched in sweat, being dragged into an ambulance. 2 male paramedics hovered over me and continued to ask me if I was pregnant. I had passed out from period pain. Even now, every month, I have days where it feels like barbed wire is tightening inside me. I've taken 2,000 milligrams of ibuprofen in 24 hours and still been in tears from the pain. Often end up on the bathroom floor in the fetal position, crying, moaning, or vomiting. Still, I've put on a blazer and gone to work. I've sat in committee hearings, nauseous from the pain, quietly breathing to make my way through it. I've given speeches at rallies and run town halls while my body was in full revolt. I smiled for photos while silently wondering if I might faint right then and there. In fact, about 15% of women have period pain so debilitating that it disrupts work or school. That is no small number, and yet we are told to suck it up. It's why during Women's History Month, I've introduced legislation to give workers up to 12 days of paid leave a year for reproductive health. This would cover period pain, yes, but also menopause symptoms, IVF, miscarriages, endometriosis flare-ups, and more.
I'm here to speak to the thousands of women in Southern Arizona who are tired of being ignored. They are tired of having their pain minimized. They are tired of a healthcare system that treats women's bodies like an afterthought, forcing a worker to choose between paying her rent or losing a day pay to recover from a grueling gynecological procedure is not a choice. it's an economic violence. We are done being gaslit in the exam room. Health is not a luxury, and our pain is not an inconvenience. It is time to pass healthcare agenda that truly sees us, respects us, and protects us. It's time to acknowledge our country's history of systemic injustice in women's healthcare and needs. We're sick and tired of women having to be expected to say suck it up or still perform at the highest level. They are expected to show up to work despite incredibly painful periods and sit through meetings after being denied competent health care. And for far too long, women's pain have been minimized, ignored, dismissed, and even politicized. We have to guarantee paid leave for reproductive health. That is the minimum. No one should have to choose between their paycheck and their health to be able to manage that kind of incredible pain. This is about listening to us, listening to women when they say they are hurting and that they're in so much pain, and rejecting the dangerous idea that suffering is simply the price of being a woman.
Women's pain is still often dismissed, minimized, or treated as inconvenient instead of a medical priority. I know this personally. For years, I lost 1 or 2 days of work every month to hormonal migraines, nausea, and severe period pain. And when I did stay at work, I wore sunglasses to block the fluorescent office lights. Our pain is real, and it can no longer be ignored.
I've seen what happens when women, especially Black women, don't have access to the care that takes their body seriously. We have been penalized economically for our biology that has been ignored clinically.
Only now in 2026 is science finally catching up to women's pain. And that's because women, like the one standing here with me, have refused to be silenced as friends, partners, and even our own doctors have told us when we are being overly dramatic.
Just
And none of them took, she didn't say she took Midol. I already know how to help that. You gotta take some Midol.
So these women run out to the microphones and had a press conference so government can take care of women's time of the month, which is now an issue that
it's like it just started, and it's
just I'm like, I do remember God saying something to Eve about that way back. That
she said, my wife said, take a Midol, drink some water, and exercise. Yeah.
Don't exercise more. Don't forget the G's.
Yeah.
So I have two questions. First of all, let me see. This woman right here speaking is Lashid Tlaib. She's a Muslim and a Palestinian.
I'm sorry.
Okay, she's a Muslim and a Palestinian. So I have a question. So when you're upset about period pain, that time of the month that all women get forever, and it's bad, and I sympathize with my wife, although my wife is well beyond those years now because I'm old and so is she. Don't tell her I said that. But I have to ask, since you're a Palestinian and a Muslim, does this apply to the women in your culture? How about the ones that had genital mutilation, which is a custom in your culture? I'm just asking. I don't know. And the other question that I have, do trans men count too? Do they get the services?
Of course. Don't you know?
And
trans men are wait, I don't know how it works. What did you women are trans women men? Trans women are women, they say, right?
Trans women are women, and you can't see the third question in this is what is a woman?
Yeah.
And how do you define it?
Yeah.
So when you get your little program, your free money program, and women get to have 3 weeks out of the month off paid to deal with their issues, does the trans dude who's had to cut a dick off of me, does he get to have the time off too? I told you I get a little absurd sometimes. So,
what was the girl's name again?
Lashid Tlaib. She's a congresswoman, a U.S. congresswoman, and she's from
a mouthful.
Yes, she's from Michigan. Tell me where she's from. I don't remember. She's not from Minnesota, but yes. So those are the questions I have. You see, because we these are the women in politics that don't know what women are, and if you ask them what a woman is, they can't answer the question because they don't want to offend the transients.
Yeah.
So I just want to know if the trans
that's the T word. You can't say the T word.
if those fellers qualify because they say so. This is the problem is
if a trans woman or whatever it is, if they called in, if they passed that bill, they'd be calling in sick.
Absolutely. And you can't say anything about it.
Yeah.
You can't say. There was a politician. Where was he from? Tennessee or North Carolina or someplace here. He was a state level politician. And he got up on the floor of the House of whatever state, and he came out as a gay lesbian woman. Gay black lesbian woman. Oh my gosh, they threw a fit about it. They did. And he's going around, he's putting commercials out that he's a gay. He can't be racist because he's a black lesbian gay woman. And it's just the absurdity.
You're crossing the line.
This is where deception, and self-delusion and demonic I don't know the word I'm trying to say here. I had it a second ago, but anyways, it's not possession. It's not even demonization. It's just demonic influence, demonic thought processes. You see, the first pronoun ever recorded was in the Bible. Did you know that? I am legion, for we are many. We.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is, but let me say this here. What they're really talking about with all of that is abortion.
So you can have.
They want money from the government to pay for abortion.
Yeah.
But it's kind of not a trending thing right now. The pendulum is swinging back the other way, and abortion's now becoming a negative term. So they're trying to find another way, period problem.
Yeah.
And they kept saying reproductive health, which is what you pointed out.
Yeah. And why, I want to know this, why is it so much more prevalent in lower income areas and predominantly black areas?
Now you're getting in my wheelhouse.
They seem to kill a lot more black babies than white babies.
That's a good question. Have you ever heard of Margaret Sanger?
I have. Who is she though? Tell me.
Okay, hold up. Let's see. I want quotes. Okay, Margaret Sanger. She's from the 20s and 30s. She was a prominent leader in eugenics. Adolf Hitler got his ideas from her, and she had some pretty interesting things to say about these sorts. She's the founder of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
It's not pulling up like I wanted to. She said things like, "No woman can call herself free who does not own and control her body."
Wow.
And she also said things like, and I'm gonna see if I can find it. She said that she wanted to exterminate the Negro race. Her words, not mine.
Yeah.
And that she, of course, when I Googled it, none of these quotes are coming up. And she said something to the tune of, I'm not going to get it 100% right, that they will do it through abortion, and they'll convince the Negro clergy to do it.
Wow.
And so your question is, why are these always in poor places and poor towns? Because the philosophy is to get rid and exterminate the lesser races. She was a eugenicist. She believed in eugenics.
Yeah.
She believed in getting rid of the less desirable races so we have a more pure race.
Wow. Yeah.
And Jay Boland here says that Hillary Clinton got the Margaret Sanger Award, and she did. She received the Margaret Sanger Award. She said it was her favorite person in the world, and she said that at that time in that speech, she said she was an early 20th century progressive. You heard that?
Wow.
And so, what's a progressive?
Someone pushing the limits.
Well, here's the thing too. When you're dealing with politics, see, I'll you being the pastor, the learned pastor that you are, I will bow to your pastor knowledge of the Bible. But this is my wheelhouse, and that's the political. So Hillary Clinton said she's an early 20th century progressive. I talked about this on my show today. In 1939, the Boone Party of America had a rally in Madison Square Garden in New York. 39,000 people showed up. The Boone Party of America was the Nationalist Socialist Party of America. Another term for that is Nazis.
Wow.
They complete with the red bands, with the swastika, with the C's Heils, a bust of Adolf Hitler, the whole thing, right? They did the whole thing. And then there was this little thing called World War II, and a bunch of dead Jews and gypsies and Christians and a bunch of dead Slavics. And it was a real bad reputation for the group. You know, they kind of lost membership. So in the 50s, they decided to change their name, and they changed it to the American Progressive Party. So when these politicians call themselves a progressive, when Hillary Clinton said, I'm an early 20th century progressive.
Wow.
She's saying, I'm an early 20th century Margaret Sanger Nazi.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but progressive liberals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, so let's use her language. What does AOC call herself? A democratic socialist. Right? What are the Nazi parties? The National Socialist Party.
Wow.
What do they call themselves? Listen to what they say. Listen to how they say it. In reality, the left socialists of today are not Nazis as traditional Nazis of Hitler. They are actually commo-fascists, is a term I use. You take a look at our country before Donald Trump, and even now, because he's still cleaning up. You have a large bureaucratic system, what communists would call a Politburo, that make all the decisions and control everything, right? And then you have a class of non-government organizations that get funded by the government to do all the deeds. Combo, the Politburo, fascism, the government control of the corporations.
Wow.
And that's what our country is right now, and at least until we get, whatever God does. Charlie says, wish I could be joining you, but he's out in the woods dressed as a tree eating MREs.
I don't miss those days. Yeah.
I don't know if that's exactly what he's doing, but I got to give him a hard time anyway. So yeah, they couldn't pay me enough to do that. What's that?
What was your favorite MRE?
Oh man, you got different. See, he served in the military too, and I served in the military, but we were different generations in the military. The MREs we had, and his Marine out there, he'll tell you. I got a guy Marine in the woods that tells you he loves crayons. His MRE came with crayons. But no, the ones that we had were pork with rice barbecue sauce, a tuna with noodles, and omelet with ham.
Oh, that omelet's disgusting.
Right. And then it had we had the Frankfurters, and we had the little biscuits. We had these little dehydrated pork patty biscuit things. So which one did I like the best?
Heat 'em up.
What's that?
How'd you heat them up?
They had MRE heaters in them.
They had the water thing.
Yeah. First generation. So ours got hot.
Yeah. I like the red beans and rice and the tuna, but I heard they took the Tabasco out of MREs, and
I heard that too.
Saved the Army like I don't know, like a couple million or something. It was like something dumb, but that Tabasco sauce made that MRE the best.
Well, this Tabasco sauce killed the flavor. That's the problem.
Yeah, that omelet was rough, man. I could never eat the omelet. You get the omelet. It's bad. It's bad. Yeah, it looked the consistency of Play-Doh. Yeah. He said I ate 2.5 MREs today, stole Sergeant peanuts and tortillas.
When I was in the first Gulf War, I arrived there on September 4th, 1990. From September 4th, 1990 until when we left, pretty much. The last couple of weeks we were back in Daharan living in barracks. And so they had a DFAC, but MREs, that was the only thing we ate. That's all we had.
They had unit MREs when we got there.
K rations from the kitchen, yeah.
No, these were giant MREs. It was a new thing that they created. It was a unit sized, one big unit sized MRE that you pulled this thing out and put some water in it and it cooked it. It was just like a giant MRE for a whole unit. Yeah.
I'm sure that was wonderful.
No, I mean but it was,
They didn't have those. They had the spam, the big huge spam can type deal that you cracked open like this, and it would have the same RM, but in mass quantities, and they'd have the trailer would drive up, because I was in a supply unit, so we had several trailers. The trailer would drive up and they'd let the door down and they'd stick it in the water and boil it, get it good and hot and serve it, and that's your canned eggs and your canned bacon and your canned potatoes and canned whatever,
We went into Southeast Amara, Iraq, and we were like so excited to try to eat some food until everybody got dysentery and came back, and cholera, whatever, E. coli is getting passed around. And
so we were 300 miles from nowhere. I remember my mom, when they blew up, the one Scud missile hit the barracks there in the city there, and it was a big deal. Like several hundreds of people got hurt or killed, and my mom was all freaked out about it. And I remember you guys had computers and laptops and all that stuff. None of that existed. We only got to call home when the AT&T truck drove up, and you got like 3 minutes. That was it. And you had to use your MCI card and pay for it, which like $10,000. I don't know. Anyways, so I got to call my mom, and she was all worried about that. I was like, Mom, we're 300 miles from nowhere. We don't even know where we are. I mean, they're not going to launch a missile out to the desert and go, maybe there's somebody out there.
Yeah.
It's just, but anyways, yeah, that was some good times back then. That was something else. I was going to make another point, but I forgot what it was. What we were talking about? Anyway. that was good times back then. But like I said, we were different generations, so things were different for us than they were.
Yeah.
We were still using the Vietnam era LBE instead of the full deal. Like I have those now in my stuff that I have around the house.
Body armor.
What's that?
You don't have body armor. Of course.
Who says?
Nobody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Who says I don't have body armor?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now we have
not that
heater wrap. He says we have a new heater wrap, super hot. Yeah. He has a hot chicken burrito. So Charlie's got the best of it all. He's got the best of it all now. He's got the newest of the things.
Oh, the burrito bowl in a bag. Yeah, I've heard about that. Bowl in a bag. Yeah, we didn't have none of that stuff. No, man. None of that. Lord. We did one time though. They made us the guards. They had this big tent, this big like circus tent, and that's where they put all the boxes of all the stuff. And they made us the guard of the tent, the motor pool, which is a bad idea. So we're out there on guard duty in the middle of the night, and corporals running around with the little red lens on his little flashlight, and grab a box of instant pancake mix, grab a box of instant eggs, the just add the eggs, grab a box of dehydrated steaks. We had a good time then.
Yeah.
That never happened. That's a fake story. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we were one of the first units. Actually, my class going into basic was the first full volunteer class, and then when we went to Iraq, they shipped beer in. We got 2 beers on the Super Bowl. Super Bowl was like the best holiday in Iraq in war. They made sure you had chicken wings, French fries, and beer. I don't know why that was such an important day for them to make sure they treated you right, but they wanted to make sure you celebrated the Super Bowl. They shipped in projectors that we were watching the football game on T-walls, outside, hoping we wasn't going to get rocketed while we were there.
Right. So we had a day room set. It was a tent. So you probably could relate to this. Anybody's deployed anybody that served in the Navy surely can relate to this. But you've never felt dark or seen dark until it's in the desert on a cloudy night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
And so we're 300 miles nowhere, and I'm in the day room, and the lights are on, and watching TV and all that stuff. And I get out of the day room and I have to go back to where my tent, wherever it was that we were set up the hill there.
Yeah.
And I come out of the tent and it's dark. I mean, and we're practicing noise and light discipline, so you can't turn the light on. It's dark. And I just know that there's probably several hundred yards of concertina wire going this way and that way between me and where I need to go. And I'm thinking, this is not going to work out. But I've stood there for like a good while trying to get my eyes to adjust to something, but it was a cloudy, overcast, foggy, and there was no light, and it was dark. That's the darkest I've ever seen in my life.
Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about the first time we ever got rocketed. So, this is a whole bunch of, young guys. There's people that have been deployed 3 or 4 times, but there's a whole bunch of us. They separate the senior enlisted from the lower enlisted, and we're in 2 different tents. And I remember going through training, and they would toss simulators, and you'd hear, and they would tell what to do. And so I remember the very first time we were getting they shot rockets at us. They didn't mortar us ever. It was always 240 millimeter rockets on jet propelled engines, And so all of a sudden we hear these explosions, and I remember there's explosions going off, and we're just sitting up hey man, did you hear that? And it's man, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. What is that? And then it's going off, and then I remember Sergeant Allen came in the tent, his hat's all his gear's all this. He's we're getting hit. Get your gear on. And then there was literally guys blousing up their shoes, putting their uniform on, their pants, and I remember once we got out there, it was total chaos when rockets are coming in, exploding everywhere. There was a guy, there's people that got injured and they were calling for medics. It was just 19 years old, man, 20 years old, first time ever. People are lock and loading that we're the 20-year-olds are putting, cocking their guns and getting their loading up their guns and thinking people are going to come over the walls. Oh man, it was just, I remember it. And then all we had was T-walls. So they would be all right, get on this side of the wall, and a rocket would hit on that side. Get on this side of the wall, rocket. And we were going back and forth. And I just remember we did not react like we were supposed to. No. You're supposed to respond to that. And we were all did you hear that? Yeah.
So my story about coming under fire goes like this. So, and I don't talk about this all that often, but I was tasked. I was a mechanic, and when the Gulf War started, the 4 or 5 days of the Gulf War, they didn't need mechanics; they needed drivers. So they put me in a truck with another guy, and we're hauling 5,000 gallons of diesel, and there was probably 10 trucks in the convoy, diesel trucks, and the truck in front of me. What's that?
JP8.
The diesel's what we had, but the truck in front of me had JP8, had jet fuel. I had one truck in front of me. And then behind us was a couple M1s, a couple Bradleys. In front of us, a couple M1s, a couple Bradleys. They're like our escort, right? We're going down. We're up near the Tigris River, and we're heading south or south, whatever it is, southish. And we're going down this road, this little 2-lane road, and it comes up a bluff. And when the lead element tank, I see the lead L tank coming up the top of that bluff, all of a sudden you see green tracer fire.
Yeah.
The convoy stops. Now, I was the M60 gunner, which you didn't have, but the Vietnam era M60.
The hog.
Yeah, that's a fun. I would re-enlist to shoot that thing again.
Not to carry it.
No. I had my M16 in the basic load, the M60 with the basic load. I had 4 grenades and the AT4 in the cab of this truck with me. And I thought, well, if something ever happens, how am I getting out of that truck? As well, when we saw the green tracers and the guy saying we're being attacked from over there, get out of the truck, I got out of the truck with all of it. No problem. I mean, it's pretty easy. And so, but we didn't get to shoot anybody because what happened was there was a couple big explosions. Mind you, we were with the M1s. I don't know if it was the M1s. I don't know if it was an air attack. I don't know what happened, but boom, boom. All right, get back in the truck, start going. As we cleared over the bluff, there's some Russian-made armored personnel carriers flipped over and turrets all over smoking, and that was the end of that. That was my one time, but close enough. Didn't need to get any closer.
So fun, and I think it's even worse going into war as private first class, because you get all the fun jobs in between the working. Like, I had a lot of experience with diesel and the latrine
latrine. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, it's for hygiene purposes only. You have to burn they have these little, I don't know how they had when you
like
these
barrels.
little quarter 55-gallon drums cut off. You do your business inside the latrine, and it drops down into there, and then you have to every day you have to drag them out, pour some diesel.
Lowest ranking people.
Or JP4, whichever you have, into there, light a match, stir it up, and let it burn for a while. It was a wonderful smell.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
So you always make sure that you're upwind from the CP.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, which way is the wind blowing here? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good old right there. Sitting there with your friends going, man, I never thought I'd be sitting here in Iraq burning poop, stirring it up. Things you never thought you'd go through in your life.
Yeah. Those were the days, the good old days. So the craziest thing I think I ever did over there was after the war was over, because they called the peace treaty. We were north of Basra. Is that right? It's a southern Iraqi city. We were north of there, and we were sitting in this BSA, and we had a female soldier. No, that's not correct. That was earlier on. Somehow we had a messed up truck that needed parts, and we couldn't get the parts. So our master sergeant said, "There's one down the road, a 925 truck." So I jumped in the Humvee, and we drove with the master sergeant in our toolbox down the road to this Iraqi 925 truck they got from us that was on its side towing a howitzer with ammunition scattered all over the place. Jack the truck up, steal the hub and everything else we needed off this truck with us. I'm sitting on ammunition doing 105 howitzer ammunition, green painted ammunition, doing this, thinking, if it goes, I'll go quick, I guess. But so that's the craziest thing that that was after the war and stuff, and they were blowing up the ammo dumps all over the place. Anyways, good times.
When I came back, the first time I had to leave early. I was going back, and I came back on a Red Cross letter. My son had like a 50% chance of living through birth. And I remember when they told me to leave, they're like, listen now, you can't look like a soldier. We're going to send you through the Kuwaiti airport. You're going to be in civilian clothes, but you don't have civilian clothes with you when you're over there.
No, everything's green or brown or whatever the case is.
give you civilian clothes, but they gave me like some tan cargo pants that with my boots and like a white shirt, and I had my green duffel bag, and they send me through the Kuwaiti airport.
Not a GI.
Yeah, no.
Not a GI.
Yeah. So then I was like, they were like, well, you can get some clothes on the way. So I went to Kuwait, and mind you, I'm 20 years old, 21 years old maybe, and they had like Boss Hugo and Gucci, and I'm like, well, I can't go to Gucci. I didn't know Boss Hugo was expensive. And I go in there, I'm like, well, these prices ain't so bad, like $100. I think it was like gonna be like a couple $100 for like an outfit and shoes. I was like, this ain't bad, but it was in Kuwaiti dinari. The money was, so I don't remember. I just remember it was extremely much more expensive than what I was expecting. But luckily I had been in country for a while and had saved some money and was able to kind of change out. But I just remember the Kuwaiti dinari, man, is much more than US dollars.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot more. Yeah. And I remember feeling so crazy, like going through, and I'm like, yeah, they kind of know I'm a soldier with this, so I'm going to change out.
They know.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a culture. That was interesting learning and seeing the things that we saw. You was talking about botulism and food. There was this little guy on a moped that would come driving into our little area, driving around with a cooler on the back, and he had KFC boxes full of chicken.
Yeah. They actually have good fast food over there.
Yeah, but my question is, we're 300 miles from nowhere.
You're like, where's this KFC coming from?
How long's it been in this cooler box? And of course, they were buying that stuff of me. You want some? No, I'm pretty good. I'll pass. But yeah, that was something.
It was always good to know, the interpreters. It was kind of strange, like, getting your hair cut. And then they'd have those single blade razors just shaving you up, you're like, yeah, I don't know about this, man. And like, these guys wanted to, they could slit my throat. But as soon as all the interpreters all of a sudden all left together, you knew you were getting attacked. Like,
oh yeah, they all knew it was coming.
Yeah, they knew it was coming. They knew it
Sweet.
was coming. Yeah, it's like, all the interpreters left. Yep, we're on high alert. For next couple weeks.
See, we didn't have none of that. It didn't last that long, And again, it was a different type of war. You were fighting an insurgency where we were fighting. It was the first Gulf War was the last major, other than the first few weeks of the Ukraine war, was the last American major force-on-force maneuver warfare that had been fought. I mean, you're talking massive tank maneuvers and stuff like that. That hasn't happened since, because it's different place. Anyways, anyways, like I said, good times.
Yeah. One question. Tell me, what do you think about Iraq, them never finding a single ounce of weapons of mass destruction? You're
being lied to.
Yeah. You think they think they found something, or there was nothing there to begin with?
I know they found something.
Yeah.
Our unit found sarin gas.
Really?
And so those bunkers that we were blowing up when we were over there were full of sarin gas.
Yeah.
It's probably more than likely what the Gulf War syndrome's all about.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying for the Iraq War.
The second part of it.
They said they went in on for WMDs, and then they never found any.
Well, now again. It was reported before the war began that Saddam Hussein gave all of those to Syria.
Really?
And you got to remember that between the first Gulf War and 9/11, Saddam Hussein gassed the Kurds.
Yeah.
Killed whole cities, men, women, and children. So he had weapons of mass destruction. Now, what he did with the weapons of mass destruction is another question.
Yeah.
He did have them.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it. That's all. When you're getting into this, that's all a bunch of political BS, and you don't know what's true and what's not true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
At the time that they went in, I do know that he had the gas. He had at least had sarin gas and mustard gas, at least, just before 9/11. After that, I don't know. But the rumor has it that I was reading before all the conspiracy stuff kicked in, before we actually invaded Iraq, while we were still in Afghanistan, is that he was moving his weapons of mass destruction into Syria.
Mm.
So, whatever the excuse, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories out there. You could pick a conspiracy theory. And the thing is, I don't know about all that. I do know he did have it. I do know we was blowing a bunch of it up.
Yeah.
We were there, but I don't know after that.
That would have been terrible to be in mop gear in Iraq.
We were the whole war we were in. Was it mop when you're in the uniform itself?
Mop 1?
No, mop 1.
No, mop 2. Mop 1 is just having the equipment.
Having it available.
Yeah.
Mop 2 is the pants and the jacket. Mop 3 is the pants and jacket, boots and gloves, right? And mop 4 is the mask.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
With the hood. Yeah, with the hood.
It's only been 30 some odd years. So we were in mop 2 the whole war.
Oh man. That's hot.
And that's when you're just in your skivvies. And by the way, have you ever messed around with fresh mop gear? I know stuff they give you in training. Have you ever messed around with the fresh stuff?
What's it, just being stiff?
It comes in a bag. It comes in a plastic sealed bag, like an MRE bag.
Yeah.
Have you ever messed with that?
Yeah. Airtight.
No, but have you ever worn a fresh Marine? Are you out there? Have you ever worn a fresh Charlie? Have you ever worn a fresh mop suit straight out of the bag? You would know. You would know if you had. That's why I know you probably haven't. You probably just did it in training. You probably didn't. So they gave it to us. They made us wear it straight out of the bag. They're charcoal on the inside.
Oh.
After you wash them several times, they're not going to work. The training ones would not work in a real scenario.
Oh, yeah.
They're charcoal on the inside. So your skin is as black as my shirt.
Yeah.
From the charcoal, from wearing it. So that's the mop suit. They're wonderful. They're great.
Wow. Yeah.
But so what we did is we just was down in our skivvies and just wore that because what's hot in the desert.
Oh yeah.
Warmer anyways. So it would suck to wear your entire uniform and everything else.
Yeah.
And then we didn't have the kind of stuff that you had, the plate carriers and the molly gear and all that stuff. Like I said, we had the LBE, which was the little thin deal with the belt, right? Yeah. And a flak jacket, the Vietnam era flak jacket. We had those.
Yeah.
Which weighed about, 50 pounds. I don't know. It was ridiculous. But that's what we had.
Nice thing.
And we had to wear them all the time. They, your stupid helmet and all that stuff. Had to wear it.
Yeah. That's tough.
And you had an IFAC. Did you have an IFAC?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? A medical kit.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We had a little pouch right here that had a little square bandage in it, a little like a bandana. That was ours. And of course we had the atropine and stuff inside our little mask kit too.
Yeah. So. Yep. We had those too.
Good times.
Yeah. Terrible. I can't imagine if I was in Iraq in mop gear. It was, man, I remember like watching Journey to the Center of the Earth in Iraq, and he was like, it was like 112 degrees or 120 degrees. He's like, I'm like, he was dying. I'm looking outside, and it's like 155 degrees outside. And it was like, you got used to that. It was like 89 degrees. You're shivering.
Yeah. Well, and that's true out in the desert where it'd be 120, but then it would drop down to 60 at night and you're freezing.
Yeah. The only good thing that I think that was really good is we had thermal vision out there. So when it was really dark, we had white hot, black hot thermal vision. So it was really
helpful. The night.
Yep, we can drive through that.
Oh, we had the second gen night vision.
Yeah,
which was the single one that two lens to a single one like that and all green and stuff.
The PVS 14s.
I don't remember, but I do remember they give you a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good times, anyways, so what else you got before we wrap this thing up? Anything else?
No, sir, I'm good. Yeah.
You got it all. I got all my jokes out of the way.
Yeah.
So
It
anyways,
was fun. I appreciate you having me on, Mike. It was great.
it was great. I'm glad you're here. I'm sure the audience enjoyed it too. We're still getting this particular platform going. So usually 1,000, 1,500 views when it's all said and done. So we'll see how it goes. But of course, views are money. You know what I say? Support the show, right? Hit the thumbs up, share, and all that good stuff. You know how to do it. Charlie's better at promoting that than I am, because he's a professional.
Yeah, he has the voice.
He's a professional. That's what he keeps telling me, anyways. So I appreciate you coming on. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're probably going to wrap it up here. Thanks you all for joining us. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. And I'll see you all in the morning. You know where to find my show, Patriot Mike Show in the morning. And make sure you follow Charlee. Charlee, it's CHARLEE Simons over on, and it's Charlie Simons Do Not Talk over on Rumble and Facebook. Well, he's not on Facebook. You have to go to my page on Facebook to see him because they kicked him off. Anyways. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. We are going to, as soon as I find the button, we're going to sign off. Talk to y'all later. We're out of here.
Charlie and Mike. Charlie and Mike. Talk about it. Tell the truth. God country. In the booth, we stand strong. We hold the line. Won't shut up. Not this time. Hands on heart, eyes up high. We were made to testify. Charlie and Mike. Charlie and Mike. God and country. We stand right. Truth on fire. We won't hide. USA. USA. Side by side. Let them hear us. Clear and loud. One small